You know what separates someone who walks into a room and instantly commands attention from someone who fades into the background? It's not charisma, it's not status, it's not even confidence. It's something far more dangerous. And by the end of this, you're either going to hate how simple it is, or you're going to wonder why nobody ever told you this before. So, let me ask you something. Have you ever watched someone say absolutely nothing impressive, yet somehow everyone in the room is drawn to them? Meanwhile, you're over there with better stories, funnier jokes, more interesting experiences, and people forget you existed the moment you leave. It doesn't make sense, right? Like the universe is playing favorites. But here's what's really happening. And once you understand this, you'll never look at conversation the same way again. You're at a bar, a party, doesn't matter. She's standing there. 6 guys have already approached her tonight. 6 different faces, 6 identical scripts. Hey, what's your name? What do? You come here often? What are you drinking? All of them blended into one forgettable blur of white noise. Then there's you. You could walk up and do the same thing, ask the same questions, get the same polite smile, the same nice to meet you that means absolutely nothing. Or you could do something that 99% of men will never have the guts to do. Here's the question that's about to change everything. What if the reason you're not memorable has nothing to do with what you're saying and everything to do with where you're taking the conversation? Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you isn't just about talking to women. It's about becoming the kind of person people can't stop thinking about. Let me tell you about Marcus. Good-looking guy, successful career, could hold a conversation, but every date felt like Groundhog Day. First date, everything's great. Laughter, connection, chemistry. Second date, things cool down. Third date never happens. He was stuck in this loop and couldn't figure out why. One night, he meets Sarah. Stunning, sharp, the kind of woman who's heard every line, every compliment, every attempt to impress her. Marcus is exhausted from the pattern, so he does something different. Instead of performing, instead of trying to be interesting, he stops, gets quiet, looks at her, and asks one simple question. What's the most dangerous thing you've ever felt drawn to? Not done, drawn to. The question hangs in the air like smoke. Sarah's face changes, not offended, not confused, intrigued. Her eyes narrow, the energy between them shifts instantly from surface-level small talk to something electric. 10 seconds of silence, then she starts talking about a relationship years ago. Someone completely wrong for her, chaotic, unpredictable, someone she knew would destroy her but couldn't resist. As she speaks, her polished exterior cracks, her voice drops, she leans closer. She's no longer playing the role of women on a date, she's being human. Marcus doesn't interrupt, doesn't judge, doesn't try to fix anything. He just listens, really listens. By the end of that night, Sarah tells him she's never had a conversation like that in her life. 3 years later, they're still together. Question: what did that one question do that 6 months of normal dating couldn't? The answer is going to rewire how you think about connection. See, your brain doesn't crave safety, it craves intensity. Every time you ask boring questions, you activate the logical part of someone's mind, the autopilot, the rehearsed responses. I work in marketing. I'm from Ohio. I like to travel. But when you ask about danger, desire, fear, you bypass all that surface garbage and speak directly to the emotional core. And that's where real connection lives. But here's what most people get dangerously wrong. They think this is manipulation, a trick, a tactic to get someone. It's not. This only works if you're actually prepared for the answer. If you're asking because you genuinely want to understand someone, not because you want to win them over. Because once you open these doors, you can't close them.
Once someone shows you what's beneath their surface, you're responsible for how you handle it.
So let me give you the framework. 9 elements that transform forgettable small talk into something that stays in someone's mind for days. Not games, not tricks, tools. Each one designed to create a specific response. Comfort mixed with exposure. Safety mixed with adrenaline. That combination? Rocket fuel. The first question: what is the most dangerous thing you've ever felt drawn to? Let's go deeper into why this obliterates normal conversation. You're not asking what someone did. That's factual, safe. You're asking what they felt pulled toward. That targets temptation, the shadow side. Everyone has parts of themselves they hide. The rule breaker, the risk taker, the person who wants to cross lines they're not supposed to. Most people, especially women, are trained to suppress that side. Be careful, responsible, good. When you ask this question, you're saying something without saying it. You're not afraid of their darkness. You can handle all of them, not just the pretty parts. And that is intoxicating. I watched my friend David do this with Claire. Lawyer, controlled, put together. Their date was pleasant, but flat. Then David asked the question. Claire's entire face changed. She told him about almost throwing away law school to follow a musician to Southeast Asia. No plan, no money, just a guitar and chaos. Her parents would have disowned her. Her future would have evaporated, but the pull was magnetic. She chose the safe path, became a lawyer, built stability. But she said not a month goes by where she doesn't wonder what would have happened if she'd just gotten on that plane. David didn't say much, just nodded, held eye contact, let the weight of her confession sit there. From that moment, Claire stopped performing. She stopped being the polished professional and became a human being with regrets and desires bubbling underneath. They're engaged now, all because David wasn't afraid to ask about the part she kept hidden. Second question: what version of yourself do you present to others to protect the real you? Everyone wears a mask. Social survival requires it. We perform roles to fit in, avoid judgment, keep peace. But that mask is exhausting. And here's the thing: most people fall in love with the mask. They compliment it. You're so strong, always happy, so confident. But the person behind it knows those compliments are incomplete, almost meaningless. When you ask this question, you do something radical. You acknowledge the performance. You're saying, I see through this. What you show the world isn't the full truth. That awareness alone creates relief, permission to lower the mask, even for a moment. Maybe she admits she pretends to have everything together while feeling lost inside. Maybe she says she acts tough but is painfully sensitive. Whatever she reveals, something shifts. Once she tells you what the mask is, she can never fully wear it around you again. You've seen behind it, and that creates a bond that's almost impossible to break. There's this concept in psychology called the vulnerability loop. When someone is vulnerable with you and you respond with calm acceptance instead of judgment, they feel safer. That safety breeds more vulnerability, more attachment. It feeds itself. But most people can't handle receiving vulnerability. They panic, try to fix it, minimize it, or weaponize it later. The man who can sit with someone's vulnerability without flinching becomes irreplaceable. Let me tell you about James and Elena. Met at a wedding, typical small talk. Then James asked about her mask. Elena laughed it off, said she didn't really have one. James didn't push, just smiled and said, fair enough, then went quiet. That silence created space, and into that space, Elena started talking. Everyone thinks she's this extroverted social butterfly who loves people, but the truth? Most social interaction drains her. She forces herself to be on because that's what people expect.
The real her wants to be alone, reading, thinking, existing quietly. But she's terrified people would find that boring. James didn't try to convince her she wasn't boring, didn't shower her with reassurance, just said, "I get that." Then told her about a book he was reading, not to impress her, just because it connected to what she said. That moment of mutual understanding, where neither person was performing, created something that outlasted the wedding, the after-party, and turned into a 2-year relationship.
All because James wasn't afraid to call out the mask. Now we go deeper. Third question. What is a desire you've never said out loud because you're afraid of being judged? This moves past excitement into something primal: shame. Shame is the strongest silencer in human experience. Everyone carries desires they believe are unacceptable: sexual, emotional, ambitions that seem selfish or unrealistic. By asking this, you step into the role of confessor. Throughout history, the one who holds secrets holds power, not because they use them, because they're trusted with them. This question cannot be rushed. Environment matters, timing matters, tone matters. You ask it when the conversation has already slowed, when silence exists naturally. Your voice should be calm, neutral, no excitement, no anticipation. If you sound eager, you seem unsafe. If you sound steady, you seem grounded. When someone answers, they're handing you something valuable, what they truly want but are afraid to claim. Most men guess what a woman wants and get it wrong 90% of the time. The man who asks doesn't guess, he listens, learns, then decides what to do with that knowledge. Tom asked Rachel this on their third date, walking through a park at dusk. Conversation had gotten deep naturally. He asked. Rachel stopped walking, silent for almost a full minute, then said she'd always wanted to quit her corporate job and become a painter, but she was terrified people would think she was naive, privileged, wasting her potential. Her parents sacrificed so much for her education. How could she throw it away for something so impractical? Tom didn't tell her to quit, didn't tell her she was overthinking, just asked, "When's the last time you painted?" 3 years. That's a long time to starve something that matters to you. 6 months later, Rachel had a small studio, still working corporate but painting again. She told Tom that conversation was the turning point, not because he gave permission, because he didn't judge the desire. He simply acknowledged it deserved space. That's the power. It doesn't solve problems. It creates a container where hidden parts can breathe. Fourth question. What is a memory that still stays with you, not because it was sad, but because it was intense? Happiness fades quickly. Calm moments dissolve, but intensity stays. The brain prioritizes emotionally charged experiences: fear, passion, loss, risk. When someone recalls intense memory, their body responds as if it's happening again. Heart rate increases, breathing changes, emotions resurface. Because you're present while they experience those sensations, their mind starts associating that intensity with you. This isn't about playing therapist. It's about understanding how someone relates to intensity. Do they chase it or avoid it? Crave chaos or stability? The answer tells you more than hours of casual talk ever could. Lisa told Mark about jumping off a cliff into a cenote in Mexico. Terrified of heights, but everyone else was doing it, and something in her snapped. She jumped. The free fall felt like dying and being born simultaneously. Mark didn't say much, just asked, "Do you ever chase that feeling now?" No, life got safe, predictable. That's a shame. Not judgmental, just matter of fact. That comment sat with Lisa for weeks, made her realize she'd been playing it too safe. Mark became the person who reminded her of a version of herself she'd forgotten. That's a powerful place to occupy in someone's mind. Now the dynamic shifts.
Up until now, you've been guiding someone inward toward memory, vulnerability. What comes next is confrontation, not aggression, presence. Fifth question. What is your intuition telling me about me right now before your logic steps in and edits it? This question is dangerous because it removes all protective layers. Normally, two people orbit each other indirectly, pretending they're not evaluating, measuring, sensing, but they are, always. Is this person safe, exciting, trustworthy, attractive? This drags all of that into the open. Women especially trust their intuition deeply. By asking this, you're issuing a challenge. Read me. Don't analyze. Don't filter. Just tell me what you feel. This forces direct eye contact, not at your image, not at your social role, at your presence. Whatever she says, you don't defend yourself. If she says you feel like trouble, you acknowledge it calmly. If she says you feel safe, you don't accept it eagerly. You introduce uncertainty, because certainty kills attraction. Mystery sustains it. This works because it proves you're not afraid of judgment, not seeking approval, inviting honesty. And honesty is rare. Sixth question. When do you feel most alone, even when you're surrounded by people? This is existential. In a world saturated with communication, loneliness has become quieter but deeper. Attention is everywhere. Understanding is rare. When someone answers this, they're not describing a situation, they're revealing a wound. Your role is not to fix it. Validation strengthens bonds more than solutions. You show you recognize the feeling without trying to erase it. That recognition creates alliance, you and them against the noise of the world. The deepest intimacy doesn't form through shared happiness. It forms when pain is shared without judgment. Seventh question. If there were no consequences, what rule would you break right now? This removes morality, reputation, future cost, creates a sandbox where instinct speaks freely. The answer reveals what someone is holding back in this very moment. If the answer is harmless, they're still guarded, but if it carries weight, you've touched something real. The power here is it brings tension into the present, no longer theoretical. It's about now, about the energy between you. Eighth question. What is the one thing about you that you think would make me leave if I knew it? Everyone carries a private fear of being abandoned once fully known, a flaw, a history, something they believe disqualifies them. When you ask this and remain steady after hearing the answer, you break a pattern. You become different. If they refuse to answer, you create a future loop, something unresolved, waiting to be revealed.
Either way, attachment grows. And the ninth element isn't a question at all. It's silence. After someone answers a deep question, you stop. Don't rush to fill space. Hold eye contact. Let silence expand. Most people panic here. They soothe, explain, entertain, but silence signals strength. In that quiet space, their mind begins to work. They wonder what you're thinking, whether they revealed too much. Projection begins. Obsession forms in silence. When you finally speak, you do so slowly, a single understated line. Ambiguity keeps the moment alive. So why does all of this work? Because people are starving for depth. Modern interaction is fast, disposable, shallow. When you introduce depth, it feels rare, valuable, but it costs vulnerability. And the more someone reveals, the more invested they become. Logic follows emotion. They tell themselves they must trust you because they've already given you parts they don't give easily. This reverses the normal order. Usually, trust leads to vulnerability. Here, vulnerability creates trust. But this only works if you're emotionally stable. If you're asking these questions seeking validation,
They backfire. They must come from groundedness, not hunger. You're not chasing connection, you're allowing it. The power isn't in the questions, it's in the man asking them. His calm, his restraint, his ability to hold emotional weight without collapsing. That's what creates fascination. That's what lingers. Most men will hear this and return to safe conversation. They'll choose comfort and invisibility. Few will have the courage to step into depth and remain composed there. Those few become unforgettable. The surface is crowded, depth is empty, and in that emptiness, real connection begins. But here's what I haven't told you yet. These 9 elements, they're just the foundation. There's a level beyond this that most will never reach, a way to combine these questions with timing, body language, and environmental awareness that turns conversation into something almost hypnotic. The question is, are you ready to go that deep? Or are you going to scroll past this and keep wondering why your conversations never lead anywhere? Because what you just learned is only the beginning. The real transformation, that's in what comes next.